So we have got here a home roaster, the IKAWA Home Roaster, and to talk me through it, I have Dan from Home Roaster. Now, I have used a home roaster before, but it was a thing that you had to take outside. It did much bigger batches, but there was like chaff everywhere and there was smoke everywhere. You had to do it outside. I believe this is designed to work inside.
This is really user-friendly and newbie-friendly. I was surprised, honestly, because I heard the same stories that you have. But here you can use it with ventilation in your home. It produces not a lot of smoke, really, but it does produce some. And it has really a user interface that is really easy to use. I was surprised because I've been avoiding doing home roasting because it seems so complicated. And this at least made it, for me, a really smooth entry into it. So let's get going.
Right, so we've got some green beans that were provided to us. So you can use any green beans in this, but if you use the green beans from IKAWA, then it comes with a QR code on the back. So I think we can use this with the app and then just kind of automate everything, right?
Right. The idea is that they provide this QR code that looks it up and has a recommended roast profile. You can tweak it a little bit around the corners, but the idea is that this is something they've tested and verified for this particular coffee.
So let's press this and... Okay, so it's scanned the app and it's telling me a little bit about the beans. So I'll add the coffee. So we have the filter light, medium, plus plus, and the espresso medium plus plus.
Yeah, the plus plus refers to how much development it is. By the way, if you haven't done it already, be sure to read Dr. Gary's review. It is fantastic. It covers it from soup to nut. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced roaster, definitely read that review. Okay,
so shall we go with a filter roast or an espresso roast?
Why don't we go with filter, so that way you'll get the same coffee that I just gave you coming into your house, and you'll get a chance to compare them side by side, the one that I did, the one that you're going to do.
All right, so let's pick filter. So now this is our profile.
You can see this ramps up really fast, and it'll show you in these zones about what is actually occurring. Like there's the yellowing phase, there's where it actually starts to approach first crack, and then when it cools down. So it shows you in real time where it is on that with the temperature graph and also with the timeline.
Okay, so I guess I send this to the roaster.
Right. And now it's going to walk you through the steps.
It now says, add your beans, then press go on your roaster. Okay, so we're going to roast 100 grams of beans, which I believe is the most you can do with this.
Right, right. And there's kind of two ways you can do this. Me, I prefer to actually get out a scale and weigh it. You could use this dosing level. It is fairly accurate, but I prefer to actually weigh. And then in this dosing mechanism, it's kind of nice because it makes sure that you have everything closed and it's ready. If you get curious and you turn this for some silly reason, not that you would do that, but if you did, it immediately detects that and stops the roast. So it's trying to be safety oriented and cater to people who might not know not to do that sort of thing.
And that's important, right? Because otherwise we're going to have steam, smoke, and chaff flying out the top of this thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you can watch it. You can see that there's an observation window, so you can see the color development. And also right here, I wouldn't stick your head directly over that, but you can kind of allow it to waft to be able to smell it.
All right, let's measure 100 grams of beans. So it's closed?
Yeah, it's important to check. This has, let me pop this out just for a sec. If you look at the bottom there, I'll show that to the camera. There's two big magnets there. And that magnet tells what position it is. And so if you forget to close it, or if you try and open it at the inappropriate time, it'll tell you. Now it's facing the camera right now, is that on the front, it shows the color, which indicates whether it's ready to roast, stuff like that.
You're green.
Yeah. So you could double check by looking this, and if we turn that like that.
Now we're flashing.
You see? So it kind of makes it idiot proof. So go ahead and flip that back for me. You don't want it to where you go dump in your coffee and it starts prematurely, right?
All right, so we'll dump in this.
And you can see it comes pretty close to the top.
Yeah.
Right? So at this point, you can go ahead and just dump it in. You just rotate it around and that charges it.
So add your beans, which I've done, and then press go on your roaster. All right, so I'm going to press go, which I believe is just the button on the front. No? There's something it hasn't told me to do that's quite important, right?
Yeah, that's this right here.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he was about to hit go, no problem there. But you need to have a chaff collector. Right?
Yes.
And you can see it has a little rubber ring to make sure it makes a really tight seal, because it's going to eject this as the coffee roasts. It has like a skin on top of it. And what happens is that skin pops off essentially and it gets ejected. So that you need to collect that as you're going along. There we go. Okay. It is really a tight fit because you don't want any chaff, flying about.
Yeah.
So there it is. Good to go. Now we go ahead.
I can press the button?
Please do.
Yes.
Okay, so you can see right here that it's showing you what's going on.
Preheating.
Right, exactly. It also shows an estimated time. So you can see that this one will show you all the time, the different stages. And it's tracking also how much time has elapsed through that.
I see the temperature getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah, it really goes up. The roast that I've looked at so far, they really ramp up quickly.
Oh, it's getting roastier.
Yeah, and if you want to, you can kind of do that. I don't recommend sticking your nose right over there. You might get something in your eye.
Yeah.
But this is where it's venting, so you can feel the hot air escaping. And that gets you a way of smelling how that change occurs during the roast process.
It smells quite delicious.
Yeah, it really does. Now, because of the motor noise, you might not hear those first cracks really that distinctly. You need to pay attention. You will absolutely hear it. It sounds kind of like a crackling of paper, what it sounds a lot like. It's not like popcorn level explosion. It sounds more like almost like a Rice Krispie sort of crackle.
Yeah.
Is what I've seen, at least in the coffees that I've done, with the caveat that I'm a raw newbie. I didn't have any trouble at all saying, okay, without even looking at the app, it's like this is obviously where it is in the roast stage. The sound level when this is running, I would describe it as kind of like a hairdryer.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe below a hairdryer.
Less noisy than a hairdryer.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So we've got another 30 seconds, and then we go down to the cool down stage.
And it cools down really fast. You're going to see that temperature drop right to the floor. And the idea is you want to arrest the roasting process very rapidly. They make a big deal about this in the home roasting forum. And also among roasters, you'll see that they have this big tray they dump into with all kinds of airflow and agitation, because you want to stop that process very rapidly. And so you're going to see that same thing here. As soon as it starts that, the next stage is where we get to actually eject the coffee.
Yeah.
And it's going to lead us through that. So it'll drop off. And you'll say, okay, I'm done. Let me go ahead and eject the beans.
All right, so now we are cooling very rapidly.
Right, you can hear the motor run a lot quicker.
Yeah, now it's like a full-on hairdryer.
Yeah, now it's a hairdryer.
But it's blowing in cold air.
Yes, yeah, the elements are heated off, and you can see it's dropped from, to like almost 250 degrees centigrade, and we're already approaching, below 100.
Yeah.
And there it is.
All right, now, yes, this is swap jars. Swap jars, then press go to eject.
Right, so now be careful here when you do this. This top, it's made out of glass, it's easy to remove and all that, but it gets hot. So don't grab on top like this.
Yeah.
That's, a lesson that I learned, I heard from someone. Okay. No, seriously, the top does get hot, so be sure to be careful and grab it from the back here to stabilize it, and just kind of eke this out, because you can see it's a rubber gasket. So it's held in really tight. Just kind of eke it out. Now, in the instructions, they tell you to go ahead and do that and put it back like this, but I'm going to give you a cheat, pay attention, and use at your own risk, is that hold up really tight against that, because it goes a lot faster. Now you can press the button.
Okay.
There you go. Congratulations, Martin.
Well, look at that.
Your first successful home roast.
And these are not going to be hot.
No, they're going to be, they're going to be warm.
They're warm.
Absolutely warm, but they will not be hot. And when you want to then taste this, you normally would have it rest for a day or two, maybe longer, 2-3 days. By the way, what do you think of the smell?
Delicious.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? Like you can see what these home roasters get so excited about is that, I don't know about you, but when I get, I admit, I don't home roast at all. All my coffees arrive via the mail. But who doesn't do bag huffing? Where you squeeze the bag and you smell that? And that has definitely, I love that. We call it a bag hit. I love that. But this has a completely different sort of smell to it. It does, you know, you can really smell that roastiness to it, and it's going to develop that same sort of bag hit that we're talking about after 2 or 3 days.